Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Green Room. My name is Troy, aka Northern Scrogger, and in this episode, we will be talking about seedlings. We're going to be pretty much learning how to master the seedling stage. And there's so many ways of actually growing or starting your seeds. Paper towel works, paper towel method. What else works? So many different ways. Like everyone just has their own way, really. If you to be honest with you, like I said, paper towel method. You can pop them right into the dirt by yourself if you want. That's got an echo going on. I just got to mute something here real quick. Do is just put the seeds in a piece of damp paper towel, not soaked. You don't want it to be like just soaked or water's pouring out of the paper towel. You just want it to be damp. Okay. You just put them in that paper towel. I put them in a plastic bag, and I kind of you don't want the paper bag to be airtight. So I always just leave, or not the paper bag, the plastic bag. You don't want it to be airtight. You want a little bit of air coming in there. So I usually use bags that have like a little zip, like a closer on it. And I just keep a corner of that open. Then you want them in a dark, warm place. They're going to sprout for you like within a day or two tops. Put them right in the soil after that. Or you can just put them right into the soil. Some people don't even put them in the paper towel. They put them in a cup of water. And once the seedlings sink, that means the shell cracked, water got into the seedling. It's going to start the germination process. Some people just grab them right from that stage and put them right into the dirt. So many ways to do it. I'm not going to tell you right or wrong. It's up to you and how you want to do it. I have already started my seedlings. Right now I have 5 plants started here. I have a few little things I want to do today on them to show you what I do like with my seedlings. I just have a few little steps that I've always done. So I'll just show you guys that when I get there. I'm going to grow 2 strains this run. So with that being said, I'm actually starting up another school. We're going to call it the Screen of Green School now. That's going to be the name of it now, basically the Screen of Green School. So we're changing up the name a little bit just because the other name is like it's a bad name on the internet. I don't know why, but it's a bad name. So we're doing Screen of Green School. And my strains for that Screen of Green School is going to be Jelly Cake and Sure Banger. Those are both Seedsman Genetic strains. So with that being said, in the next week, it's all going to start up again on my YouTube channel. That's going to be Screen of Green School. I'm going to mess that up and say the other word eventually here. All right, so I just want to say everyone hi to everyone in the chats. But I just want to see the chats here and want to say hi to everybody. Okay, so I also have a script that I want to follow here before we get too far ahead of ourselves. I also want to talk about like some of the most common mistakes that people make during the seedling stage. Obviously, there's a one that's major, and that is overwatering. Overwatering the seedling stage is honestly the number one biggest mistake out there. And I can tell you some symptoms once we start going on the show of reasons or show you why or what happens when you overwater your seedlings. I didn't want to demonstrate on my plants because I want to keep my plants healthy. I was going to do some demonstrations of like unhealthy and healthy seedlings, but I don't want to do that. I only have 5 here, and I want to keep them all. I want to keep them all happy. I am going to be getting rid of one of them along the journey. Probably donate it to my mom or something. I am going to keep 4 of them. So in the chats, what's up, everyone? I've seen CLTV in here. What's going on? John Lindsay, what's up? How's it going? Cody, smokes a lot. Oh, geez, what's going on? Grow Ohio, Nectified Farmer, what's up? Elliot, how's it going? Okay, 420 things, what's up, buddy? How's it going, man? You gotta get our creators soon. All right. Okay, so that's good. Let's get going here. And I know if you guys want to put in the chats, I bet all of you guys and girls, everyone in the chats has definitely overwatered their seedlings at least once. So just be honest in the chats. Have you ever overwatered your seedlings? Because I have right here. I've killed so many, not like recently, but when I was a learning grower, I killed a lot of seedlings because I would think like, why is it not growing? Maybe it's thirsty. Maybe it needs more water. Get a little bit of water. I'm like, we're still not growing, and it wouldn't like just die. They sometimes look like the stage that I'm going to show you in a second, and then just stay like that. They'll stay like that for 2 weeks. You'd be like, what the hell? It's still like green, but it's not doing anything. And then eventually you figure out like, okay, it's not growing. So you pull it out of the soil and it just has like 2 little tiny little roots on it. Like it's weird because they don't die. They just like slowly sit there and stunt when you overwater the seedlings. Okay, so let's get into some of this here. I am going to start like a little bit backwards, and I'm just going to go all over the place. But we are focusing on the seedling stage. That's like the seedling stage to me is like the week number 1 almost to like say week 2-ish. That's going to be like my seedling stage. With my plants right now, I'm sitting at like day 3. These things are all been sprouted for 3 days, so they're in the extreme seedling stage. So what you're looking for in your seedlings is obviously you want to be in upright position. You don't want them to be bending, folding, drooping. You want all the branches to be relatively even on the main stalk of the plant. Just little things like that. You want your leaves to be like vibrant green. You don't want them to be super dark green. But at my stage, I don't even have leaves yet, so I'm not worried about that where I am. But that's just a few things that you're looking for on your like main seedlings. What else? Root development expectations during week 1. Well, during week 1, the root development, you're not going to really honestly have that much, because the plant's it's just not going to be, it's not, the taproot's just going to slowly reaching the bottom of, well, per se, my solo cups. Like I'm almost at week 1, and I guarantee you that I'm not going to have much roots all around in here yet. There're going to be some forming down in there, but it's not going to be like the big spider web, nice dense roots in here quite yet. I haven't even watered these plants yet. I haven't like dumped water in this to get the cup heavy. I've been misting it with a spray bottle. So we'll get into that as well. Like I definitely do not feed them yet or put any water in the actual soil yet. It's all been misting with a mist bottle. And I have my dehumidifier or my humidifier going right here too. So it just keeps the humidity up in there. And I'm just using sandwich baggies right here. Yeah, I'm just using sandwich baggies to keep the humidity trapped in there. And that's just how I'm rocking it. But today might be the day that I remove the sandwich baggies, because once you see those first few green leaves on there, the sandwich baggies can come off. But I'm still sitting in winter here, and it's not cold outside, but it's still dry. So the sandwich bags help a lot to keep that humidity trapped. That's the main thing about the sandwich baggies, is trapping humidity for those seedlings, because really they're drinking water through their leaves right now, not through their roots. The top of those plants are taking water in through the leaves. So if I dumped a whole bunch of water in the medium in those solo cups, they would drown because there's not enough roots to suck up all that water yet. So they would just sit there in a whole bunch of water, and then they were drowned because the roots need to have oxygen. And if there's no oxygen happening, because you just dumped in a whole bunch of water, you're drowning them, just like humans. Plants are just like us. If we get submerged in water, we're going to die because we can't breathe. Plants are the exact same thing. If you submerge them in water, they're going to die because they can't breathe. They need oxygen. Okay, so let's carry on here a little bit. Growth rate. What's normal versus what's a red flag? Okay, we kind of went into that a little bit. So for seedling stage, okay, so where I am at, I'm going to take one of these off right now and show you guys. Okay, so for this stage right here, that's very good here. Okay, very small seedling stage. Growth rate, this thing's growing perfect for me. It's actually growing like probably like almost like an inch a day right now. It's stretching a lot because it just broke through. I have my light at 30 inches. So growth rate right now, I'm looking for this thing to keep on rising, and I'm starting to look for the second form of node spacing to start forming on this plant. I want the second nodes to start forming. And then after that, if they don't form, if this plant just stays just like this for like say 4 days, 3 days, that means it's stunted and it's not growing. This thing needs to keep, and they grow pretty fast. In a week and a half, I'll be transplanting these plants. So they grow fast. Less care is best. You don't want to like be too intense with these seedlings. Like I said, you want to be gentle with them, very low light. You don't need high intensity lighting on these right now. Like we're looking at like probably 100 ppfd. I'm looking at like 100 to 300 in the seedling stage. So I mean, I'm talking like in the first 2 weeks, I'm only going to reach like say 300 ppfd. And sometimes I don't even read ppfd. Sometimes I don't even do ppfd. I just like, you can actually like put your hand on the light. If you don't have a ppfd meter or anything like that, you can even use the light. And the cool thing about this light and the Grow Hub controller from Vivosun is that light and that controller, I can actually set like set a setting onto seedling stage, and it has a veg stage, and it has a flower stage. So it actually has all the stages: seedling, veg, and flower. So right now I have it on the seedling stage. I have my light at 30 inches. And what I'm going to do now is just read my plant. And if my plants start to stretch a lot, then I'm going to lower the light down. But if the plants don't stretch at all, then I would raise my light. That's how I would work this. I know for sure I'm going to be lowering my light here eventually, because I know for sure that the plants are going to start stretching a little bit too quick than I want. So I'm going to drop my light right down on top of them, probably say like 20 inches, 15 inches even. And I'm going to have some nice, short, little stocky little plants here in a couple weeks from now that we'll be transplanting. Okay, so let's keep going here. Yeah, I just said that. So at this stage, the plant doesn't need to have a whole bunch of light intensity. It doesn't need a whole bunch of work. It doesn't need food. It doesn't need anything. This is almost the easiest stage once you master it. Once you realize how little water the plants actually need at this stage, you'll do really good. Less is best at this stage of growth. In like 4 days from now, yeah, I'll be probably putting my first soaking in this cup, and I'll be letting a lot of runoff come through it. My first soaking right now is still light. It is a little bit damp in there, and what's in this is ProMix HP. I start my plants in ProMix HP, then normally transplant them into cocoa. That's what I've been doing the last 3 runs, and it works out great for me, to be honest with you. I love starting seeds in ProMix HP. It works great. Okay, so light, the number one cause of seedling problems. Okay, so we did talk about this a little bit. Explain stretching. Okay, so like I just said, explain stretching. So I'll just roughly go back to that. If my light is really high off my plant, say 45 inches off the plants, and I have it dialed right down to as low as intensity as that light can go, my seedlings are probably going to stretch right up, and then they're probably going to flop over because they're not going to be strong enough to support themselves. You're putting ties on them to hold them straight and stuff like that, right? But if you lower that light, that seedling's not going to stretch as fast, because what it's doing is it's stretching and it's racing for the light. That's what it just thinks, like, I want to touch that light. But if you lower the light, it's not going to be able to race as quick, as much. It's not going to get as tall. And some people don't think that's true, but I know it's true because I've actually tested it out in the time of growing. I've had like 2 plants, 2 lights, and I did this. I raised one light, kept one light low, and this plant over here was definitely a lot taller and like just lengthier, and I had like support it a lot more compared to this light was like shorter and a little bit more stronger because it didn't have to grow as tall because I adjusted my lights. I used the lights to like actually, and I do it throughout my grows. Like you watch during Screen of Green School coming up here, you watch me adjust these lights right here when I want stretch off my screen. A whole bunch of stuff like that. If I need to fill my screen more, I'll raise my light up, or I'll lower the intensity of the light. That's going to encourage stretch on my plants. It's going to help me keep on tucking to fill my screens up more. Once my screens are full, I'll raise the intensity of the light, and I'll even lower my light. So now the plants are not going to stretch as much. It's just little tricks like that, and it actually does work. PPFD ranges for seedlings, I'd say right around 100 to 300. That's a good range to be in your seedling stage. 300 is going to be on like week, like say like week 2, going into week 2, you might have it on like 300. But during like week 1, like me, I'm going to have it like 150, 200 max because they're still really young. They don't need that intensity at all. Okay. Let's check out. Do we have any questions? Any questions or comments? What is that called? ProMix something? Yeah, I'm using ProMix HP. So that is like, it's just that's peat moss and it's perlite. That's pretty much what's in ProMix HP is peat moss and perlite. And there's not really any food in it or anything. It's just peat moss and perlite. But the seedlings don't need food. I don't feed my seedlings for the first, like, I wait like at least 2 weeks. I'm not gonna give them food for a long time, to be honest with you. I'm not even thinking of food right now. They're just getting some waters. First time grower, just wondering how to know which leaves to trim when it's time. Mine is still day 6 of seedling, just trying to get knowledge ahead of time. Okay, that's a question. So if you're only at day 6 of seedlings, I always said day 6. Yeah, you're not going to need to worry about it for a while, but you know already. Depends on what your growing style is, to be honest with you. Depends on what your growing style is. So if you're going to do it how I do it, the screen of green technique, then you're not going to be removing leaves until like around like 3 weeks into your grow. But if you're going to grow a different style, say like just a normal trellis run, or you're just going to train your plants the way that you want to train them, you're probably going to be removing some leaves a little bit sooner because you're going to be bending your plants, training your plants, and then you're going to have fan leaves that are in spots where like they're going to be covering other sites that you want to be exposed to the light. So you might do like some light defoliation. So to be honest, my trick, what I always tell myself is I like to defoliate fan leaves that are hovering inside my canopy. So if I have a fan leaf that's hovering in the canopy, blocking other node spaces, I'll remove that fan leaf or tuck it under a branch or something, right, to expose the lowers to it. And I usually keep the fan leaves that are on the outside of my canopy. So if you ever see me in Scrogger school or anything, I said, if you ever see it like in school that I have screen of green school, you'll notice that I have fan leaves a lot of the time on the outside of my screens. That's where I keep my fan leaves. And then if I have any fan leaves that are in the canopy, I would just sometimes either tuck them in my screen somewhere. I would just tuck it under there. And then eventually when I do my major defoliation, I go underneath and snip it away anyway. Or I would just like take that away. But that's just how I work it. It's always different, man. There's no right way, wrong way how to defoliate, but there is like too much and there is too less. So you can like sometimes defoliate too much and you can sometimes defoliate too less. But there is no right or wrong way per se. Also, later in your grow, say in flower, I always try to keep the top 3 fan leaves on every cola that's growing. So if you have like colas all over your screen or however you're doing it, I always try to keep the first 2 or 3 fan leaves on those top colas, just because I feel like those fan leaves really help those colas form. So I don't like strip my top fan leaves off all these nice colas I have everywhere. I don't do that. And if I have to tuck one, I'll tuck it. Sometimes I remove like fingerlings off the leaves. So if one leaf is just like rubbing on this cola over here and it's just making all the red hairs turn orange and it's not developing good, I'll remove those little fingerlings. So now it's not rubbing on that cola, but the rest of the leaves are still on that plant and they're still going to work for the plant. So many different ways of doing it here, and there's no right or wrong way. What's up, Hazy Susan Scrogger? What's going on? Default Behavior, how are you? We are currently running a community competition for all the VCure owners. Yes. Check out the VCure Cup. Exactly. I'm sure people, if you guys watched the last episode of the Green Room, we had Jake on and we talked about the VCure Cup. There's a great opportunity there for you guys to go on and just win some cool prizes and just help out the community with some knowledge and even teach others on some of the settings that you have for your VCure. I can't wait to use mine again. I'm not using it right now. I'm already smoked pretty much everything I had in there. And I got to start another run to fill it back up. That's the plan here. Okay. Show light height adjustment. Okay, so I talked about that a little bit. Right now, my light is sitting at 30 inches off the top of those solo cups. That's where my light is right now. And I have a feeling that I'll be lowering it a little bit here coming up. Before I get too far, though, I kind of want to show you guys. I just want to go in here right now and do some hands-on. I like doing hands-on stuff. That's what I really thrive at. I'm not much of like a I can talk and teach, but I love hands-on. So like I'm gonna put on my gloves. I'm just gonna show you guys what I do with my seedlings at this stage right now. So as you can see, I didn't fill my solo cup to the rim with my medium, right? You can see the white edges around that solo cup still. I only filled them about maybe 3/4 to like just over halfway. That one's 3/4 full. The other ones are a little bit lower. That one has the most in it of all of them. But I only fill them up like that. Like honestly, I don't fill it all the way. A lot of people actually fill them up right all the way. I know 100% that seedlings stretch. They always stretch a little bit at this stage. It's never going to be a nice short seedling. They always come out stretching. So what I do is I only fill it up 3/4 of the way, right? That's going to allow me to come in, say, right now, and then I can just top it off. So I'm going to move this up over here. I already have some trail mix right here. I'm going to top it off. That's all I got to do right here. And that's going to support the stem. Plus, whatever I put medium right now, it's all going to shoot roots out. So then I can also center my plant again. So right now I'm just going to put it in here, work my way around, get my plant right in the center of the solo cup again, and boom, that's going to be its support. I might have to put like a tie down on this in a couple days, depends on how much of a stretch it's going to actually do. But that's just how I run it, man. It's just a little tip like that does help. It really does, because some people, like I just said, will fill these cups all the way. They'll fill them up all the way, and then they can't add more soil or more medium at all because it's already full. Now you have to add a tie, and sometimes you don't need to have ties. See how low that one is? Look how much medium I didn't put in that one, because I'm coming in here to top it up now. So when I fill this up to the rim, everything below there is now going to grow roots. So the whole cup, the whole thing is going to have roots in it. And it's not going to be a big, huge, stretchy seedling. I'm going to be able to actually, it's going to be manageable. I might not even have to put ties on this one. This one's going to come up and it's going to be strong. It's going to be right in the center of the solo cup, which is perfect, how I want it. Just like that. Now it looks smaller. It's like, wow, that's a little plant. But no, we saw how long that little stem was. But now it's going to grow even more. So I'm just going to go around and going to do it to all of them. Look how low that one is. This one's like halfway. But look at the seedlings already coming out. Look, seedlings already coming out of the top of the cup. So I just gotta bring the soil right up. It's gonna help support that stem, the bare stem that you see. But now the bare stem is also gonna grow roots now because I'm covering it with medium and it's gonna be in the dark. So it's gonna grow roots. This one still has the seed shell on it. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. The shell is still on it. I had a plant that I was harvesting and it still had the shell on it. And I have pictures to prove it. It happened like I did it probably like I don't know, 4 years ago. I had a plant and I took pictures of my Instagram. Might have been one of my Instagrams I deleted, but I took pictures and I had this seedling still on the plant, that like flower. It was crazy. Okay, so I'm just gonna go around here now. I have 2 more to do. This one and one another. It's just a quick tip that I just want to give to people. Normally I do this during Screen of Green school. Normally this is when I do this kind of stuff, but we're just gonna do it on the green room tonight. And then next week we'll be doing something else on Screen of Green school. I'm definitely not gonna be able to keep saying that a lot. This one's doing real nice. So like I said, we're doing jelly cake and the Sure Banger from Seedsman. So I might put the bags back on after the episode, just probably for tonight. And then tomorrow I might actually take them off. Right now I'm not even, obviously I don't have any air movement on these plants because you obviously notice I have plastic bags on them. So that would defeat the purpose of having a fan on them if I have plastic bags on them. So they're still a little bit young for a fan. But yeah, just put this right here for now. They're a little bit too young for a fan still. But in 2 or 3 days from now, they definitely won't be. So after I do that, I have a Vivosun sprayer that I use for like spraying like heavy duty stuff. This thing works great like for doing like a foiler spray and foiler feeding, whatever, putting my IPW on the plants. This stuff just works great. But I just use this for my seedlings. Just a normal little cheap little water bottle sprayer. this thing's just a little bit too much of a high impact. I'll probably spray my seedlings with this and I'll probably bend over and snap or flop over. So I'm not really going to use that to do what I got to do right now. So I'm just going to come in here and I'll just give them a nice little mist. Just a mist like that. I'm not even like directly on a plant. I'm just kind of just misting. Get to the top of the soil a little bit dampish. Get some water on those little leaves that are in there, and that's it. That's all that's all they need. They don't need a lot. I don't keep this water bottle in the tent or anything because it gets too hot. I don't want the water to be like piss warm because the room is like 78, almost 80 degrees Fahrenheit in here. So if the water is that warm, the plants don't like piss warm water, right? Like that's gross. Who likes that? So I always try to keep my water bottles in like a dark, cool little area when I'm spraying these plants. All right, so that's what I do with my seedlings. This is perfect. Those things are going to shoot right up. Give me next week, and we're probably going to be doing transplanting here. That might be my first episode of Screen to Green School is like transplanting, and then getting that going. So good shit. How was the smoke and the black? The smoke and the black sugar was probably one of my favorite ones. The black sugar was amazing, and the sugar cane. Those are my two favorite smokes. Black sugar and the sugar cane, 100%. Those were my favorites from last run. I'm always looking for breath streams. Oh, buddy's sneaking in. What are you doing, Sneaky? My buddy snuck in here. Come say hi, Teddy. Come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. This is Teddy. If you don't know Teddy, nobody's not allowed in here when it's like hair. And it's like growing plants in here, but he's too nice. But we'll let him go. Outside. Let's go. Get out there. Okay. He's been around. All right, let's keep this show going. Where are we in our thing here? Okay. So yeah, this is a good one that I wrote down here. Okay, so why is overwatering the most common beginner mistake? Okay, so we kind of did go over that a little bit, right? Why is overwatering like the main mistake for a beginner grower? And that is honestly, once you do it a few times, you realize how simple and how easy it is to make that mistake. And that I explained it a little bit earlier in the episode is because sometimes the seedlings take a long time to grow. Like I'll be looking at these at this stage, I'm like, man, they're not really doing much. Like I know they are because I've done it so many times now. But if I was a new grower, I'd be looking at these right now and I'd be like, man, they're not growing that fast. And like my cups are kind of light, and it's not really wet in there. Like I think they need some water. I think if I just gave them water, they'd probably grow a bit quicker because they just seem kind of slow. And they are kind of slow right now. But once those roots develop a little bit in a few more days, they'll take off. That's just what beginner growers miss. They don't understand that you just got to give those a few days, let those roots start to develop, and then they take off. But they don't wait those few days. They just think there's something happening because they're stunted. So they'll just dump a bunch of water in at this stage right now that my plants are at. They'll dump a bunch of water in that, and they will drown. They'll drown their seedlings because they need oxygen, and it's like so common for beginner growers that it's not even like you can't even make fun of someone for that because it's such a common, basic, normal mistake. And you know what? You make mistakes and you learn from it. So, and that's what I did. I did it and I learned from it. Some people don't even know to put holes in the bottom of their solo cups, right? Like some people, it's important that you put like holes in the bottom of these cups right here. So the water can drain out when you do water your plants. Some people will put a bunch of water in these solo cups or whatever you're using, and there's no drainage because they don't put holes in it. So water just sits here. Then you're really going to drown your seeds out, right? Because now you just got a whole bunch of water sitting in here. They're really going to die now. So you got to make sure that you have holes in the bottom of this stuff for the drainage. All that kind of stuff goes a long way. And I almost missed not saying that. And that's just because I'm so used to doing it that sometimes I miss the most basic common things that you got to teach people is put holes in the bottom of your solo cups before you put the medium in and before you put a plant in. Make sure you have drainage holes. And to be honest, it's not just drainage holes. Oxygen will also travel up those holes into the root zone. Like, believe it or not, like they do. And that's why I always keep my plants off the ground. Everyone knows that watches me. I always have my plants on a base. Always. I always have my plants sitting on something like this. So air comes in, goes underneath, and travels up through the bottom of my pots. Because I usually have fabric pots. I don't have one right in front of me, but I normally do. So this picture, a fabric pot sitting on this, air coming in underneath it, and it just travels right up inside the pot, right in the root zone. Oxygen, man. Oxygen. It needs it. Plants need it just as much as water. Okay. How roots need oxygen as much as water? I just said that. That's so crazy. So how do I water? Like I said, in a couple of days from now, I'm going to give these things their first watering to the point of my solo cup being not heavy, like not waterlogged heavy, but just enough to see a few drips coming out the bottom of my cup. I don't want it to be like pouring out. I just want to see a few drips coming out because there's no food in here. I don't need to flush anything. I just want to see that water reach the bottom, basically. And once I see a few little drips coming out, I'll stop. And then I'm probably going to wait like 3 or 4 days. It's probably going to take that long for this plant to suck up all that water, probably 3 or 4 days. I'm probably only going to fill these cups once with water before I transplant. One good watering. To be honest, straight up honest with you guys, it's probably going to be one good watering, and then I'm probably going to transplant after that because it is going to take like 3 or 4 days for these plants to drink that big watering that I give them in 3 or 4 days from now. So I usually transplant like probably right around that 2 week mark. Okay, so if I had to water those again, obviously I would just wait. I would water the plant if I seen the drips come out. I would remember the weight. I'd be like, okay, it feels like this. It feels pretty heavy. Yeah, yeah. And I come back like 3 days later. If I don't think they're ready for transplant, I pick it up. Like, wow, it's pretty light now. Like I can like kind of throw it. Like it's really light now. I would give it another good watering, right? Because now I know that those roots are sucking up all that water. So it's good to give it a bunch of water, let it drip out the bottom again, and then just give it, let this sit there and wait until. How I tell when I want to transplant is I'll look at my solo cup. I'll go over top of it like a bird's eye view, like this. Let me step back. I'll do like a bird's eye view, and when I can't see a solo cup anymore because all these leaves are like blocking the solo cup, that's when I pretty much know it's time to transplant. I just look down at on top of the plant, bird's eye view right on top. I don't see the solo cup. All the leaves are blocking everything. It's time to transplant. Once that solo cup disappears in a bird's eye view, that's what I had always done, and it always works great for me. And I'm not going to change it up or anything because I've been doing it for 25 years, and it works great. I'm not like bro science or anything. I'm just a normal basic dude. It's a basic grower, man, that teaches a technique. Okay. Okay, container size considerations for early growth. Okay, so this is a good one too. Do you guys ever ask yourself, like, why do people always use like little pots, little cups to start their plants in? Why don't they just put it in like a 5 gallon pot and walk away? Like, why do they transplant? They've thought that. Like, I've thought that. You don't have to do it. You don't have to, like, you can put these in a 7 gallon pot and just let them grow, right? It's fine. But it's a few reasons why people do this is because it does help prevent overwatering when you have it in a small cup like this. Because if I just put this seedling in a 7 gallon fabric pot right now, I like I would know how to water it because like I'm experienced now. But a new grower might water that whole fabric pot, the whole 7 gallons. They might just dump in like 4 liters of water, right, to like get it wet, and like you're definitely going to drown that seedling out because it's not going to be able to drink all of that water. It's just going to be waterlogged. With a smaller container, you can control how much water you put in and how much water that seedling's going to take. It's just a little bit easier to work with, watering wise, on a seedlings, putting in a little cup like this compared to a big huge pot, because sometimes you might question, like, am I putting enough water in? Like, what if the roots are way over here? I should get this side soaked. Like, you don't know, right? Solo cup, easy. Just put some water in it. It's just that easy. Also, with a solo cup, you're gonna get a lot of root, like dense roots. The root's gonna be super dense in a solo cup because there's not much space for them to go to fill. So this thing in a few weeks is just gonna be one big massive root ball in here. And then I'm gonna transplant it to a bigger pot. But if I put it in a bigger pot right off the hop, yeah, sure, it could definitely fill that pot with roots eventually. It would do this, it would do the same thing eventually, but it would probably take a little bit longer than having a little solo cup that as soon as that taproot goes down, it hits the bottom and starts to do its curl thing. It just fills with thing with roots. So it's for a lot for like root density. And another reason why people like to start plants in small cups or in like trays, anything like that is to save space, right? Because a lot of people like are not like me and they can grow like 40 plants. So like they can't have 47-gallon pots to start seedlings. They're gonna have like 40 solo cups or a bunch of seedling trays, stuff like that, right? Because it's a space saver to have a little thing like this instead of having like a whole bunch of big, huge pots everywhere just to start seeds. Because sometimes people don't keep like it's not 100% going to pop, not 100% going to grow. It's never 100%. It's never 100%. Even if you get to the veg stage, it's never 100%. Anything can happen. But just a few little things. Okay, what's up? Next slide. Are you going to have any guest Scroggers on Screen of Green School this season? Yeah, for sure. I always love to have guest Scroggers on. That I'm going to probably get more now. Now that there's more like Scroggers out there, a lot of people have been learning from me the technique. You're one of them, obviously, like Nectarfied Farmer. Like for sure, your Scrogs are amazing. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have guests again. And you're more than welcome anytime you want to come on the show. Obviously, you're more than welcome. And I love having you on because your Scrogs are badass. So everyone's welcome. Um, no, it's not time for that yet. It's the end of the show to do the giveaways at the end. Okay, what's up, Reggie? What's going on, man? When I started to grow, didn't know how to water, and I let my plants sit in water for hours, then drain it, overwatering to the max. Biggest plants I ever had. All thanks to my friend, you have taught me so much. Hey, man, you're a great learner. I just try to explain things as much as I can. I do repeat myself a lot, but like I feel like I just try to teach things how I would like to be taught because like everyone knows that I am basic, man. And like if I can be taught the most basic way, I'm gonna thrive at that. I'm gonna learn a lot. But if I get taught like complicated, high, big words and shit, I'm like, man, you lost me. Like you lost me. I'm just a simple dude. I'm gonna teach you the basic way, but I can teach you how to master the screen and green technique. That's one good thing. Can you just change the cam so it's one solo cam for a sec, please? Okay. Yeah, so that's a good one too, especially for transplanting. This is like a watering technique for transplanting. So say I wish I had a pot handy. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I have like a pot here or something. I don't see a pot. Okay, so just picture a pot in my hand right now, a 7-gallon pot. This is mostly for transplanting, water technique. This I do it a lot actually. I do this every time I transplant. This is how I do it. And I'll show you guys during Screen and Green School next week probably. Um, I'll put my plants in like a 5-gallon, 3-gallon pot from a transplant. So I'll take this guy, transplant it in that pot. And what I do is when I water it, I don't water directly on top of the plant that I just put in. I water the edges kind of because now I want to make these roots search for the water, right? So if you put water right on the root zone where you just transplanted it, they don't have to go and spread their wings. They can just sit right there and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna drink right here. I don't gotta go anywhere. I don't gotta do anything. So a good practice to do on your first water after transplant is just water kind of the edge of the pot. Just don't even put water on the center of your plant. Don't even put it there yet. Just put it on the edge of the pot the first time, and then you'll be surprised how those roots, you won't see it happening, but it is happening. Those roots can sense water, right? Obviously, like plants are smart. They can like it's like they can smell water, so they'll travel and they'll dig their way to that water source and they'll start drinking it over there. But as it's traveling, it's shooting out side roots too. So like that's how you really fill your pots up with roots, is just by making, it's not even tricking the plant, it's just trying to encourage the roots to spread from your little bundle of your transplant bundle of roots they're all tight and happy, right? You want to get them moving out. So just water the edges of the pot. That's all I'm trying to say. It's just a good tip. It's a good tip. It really is. Trust me. It's a good tip. Okay. Yeah, just because like soaking the entire pot, your roots don't have to travel much at that point. Yeah, when I'm gonna transplant the plants, I am putting in food at that point. I will actually in my cocoa pots, I'll run food through the medium before I even transplant, just to get it in there. I always try to keep the cocoa like dampish, not soaked. But when you do that transplant, that water that goes in, that's gonna make it soaked for a minute, right? But cocoa dries up so fast. So I will put in food first in my cocoa before I put the plant in there. Give it like a day kind of thing. Let it like kind of just like what's that word? Like just soak into the cocoa kind of thing, right? And then the next day I'll come in, open up a hole. My cocoa is now just kind of dampish. It's not soaked anymore. It just has a little bit of dampness to it. Transplant, close it up, water the edges, soak the edges kind of. So now the roots are going to travel to those really wet spots. Cocoa, you got to keep kind of damp. You don't want to let your cocoa ever dry out. It always has to be like a little bit damp. That's what I find. I don't like letting my cocoa dry out completely, but having a little bit damp always helps. And then on water days, you're obviously going to soak it, or on the transplant, you're going to soak the edges, but you always want to have it a little bit damp. I got to pound some water here for a minute. Okay. Okay. Let's talk temps. Let's talk temps and some humidity here. Ideal temperature range for seedlings. Like I said, I'm not bro science. I don't know 100% what the best thing is that some doctor is going to say or some scientist will say, but I'm going to say I like to keep my seedlings around like say 78 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I know that's hot, but they love it hot. Seedlings love hot, high humidity areas. You can have wicked humidity happening, and I do. Sometimes my humidity is like crazy. As you can see, I have a humidifier, this Vivosun humidifier, just pumping humidity right into my tent. It's just flowing right in there. So I like high humidity because right now it's not roots that are drinking, it's the leaves that are drinking and sending water down to the roots, and it's going to create a root system. That's what's happening right now in here. It's not really the roots doing much. So you got to keep it humid so the little leaves can suck in all that little water in the air to help build the plant. That's why you want to keep it humid. So we're looking at like a good range is like at least I'd say 60 to 70 humidity percent humidity for sure. That's what I would have. Right now my room, like my sensor is way back here, so it's at 50 in here right now. That's a little bit low for seedlings, but if I had a sensor right here, it'd probably be a little bit higher. But I don't have a sensor here right now. But with those bags on, you can see the humidity in there because the bag is all wet inside and start to sweat. That's because it's really humid in there. So like I said, I'll probably put those bags back on tonight. We can even do that right now. I'll slide these bags right back on, and they're still kind of wet. So I'm gonna if these bags are dry, which I'll demonstrate right now. If these bags are dry, I just come in here, open the bag up like this, grab a spray bottle, squirt, squirt inside the bag. Just two squirts inside the bag if they were like dry, right? And then you just kind of close it up. That's it. But these bags are still relatively wet inside because it's super humid, so I don't need to be spraying inside the bags right now. I just need to cover them up, and then just keep a little crack. Just keep it a little crack open on the bottom of the cup. I try to seal. I try to like ziplock the bag as much as I can, but air is still going to get in what you want. But you want to try to trap in as much humidity as possible. That's it. You're kind of creating like a greenhouse effect, right? When you do this, this is a greenhouse effect, but it works amazing. And I've been doing this since my mom taught me when I was 15 years old, man. I've been doing this exact same way. Red cups, sandwich baggies. That is how I was taught when I was a little boy. Okay. Okay, where are we here? I don't know if I'm getting like falling behind or if I'm ahead of myself. We're just gonna keep on keeping on here. Yeah, seedlings need a lot higher seedlings need a lot higher humidity than they do in veg, obviously. Once I get my plants in veg, I'm gonna be dropping the humidity down to like say 60%, and then I'm gonna even drop it further down to like 50%. Then I'm gonna ride around 50, 55 throughout my whole grow after that, even into flower. Once I get into good solid veg stage, like say like 3 or 4 weeks into my grow, yeah, I'm dropping that humidity down to 60, 55, and I'm gonna ride that out the whole way through. I just stay around that area, 50, 55, 50, 55. That's where I hover, man, all the way through, except for this stage. This stage is like a tropical fucking, I shouldn't swear, this stage is like a tropical little paradise in my room right now. It's like super warm and it's humid. Yeah, and then like I said, once I get these bags off here, a few more days, I'll turn my fans on, very, very low setting on the fan, the lowest setting, just to make the seedling move a little bit. I just want to see the seedling. I don't want to see this for my seedlings. I just want to see this once in a while to move a little bit. What that's going to do is going to strengthen the whole stalk of the seedling. It's going to strengthen the root. The roots are all going to get strong. It's going to airflow is like a human lifting weights or working out or going for a walk. You're building your muscles, you're becoming stronger, you're stabilizing, you're going to be more stable because you're actually moving and you're like building, your body's getting stronger. So airflow for a seedling, you're actually making that thing stronger. So when it gets big and you're not, say, using the screen and green technique or anything, your plant will likely not fall over because the buds get so heavy and big that it falls over. You probably won't have that up. You probably won't have that because you've been having air movement on your plant its whole cycle of life. So it became strong. It became big. That's why plants out in nature, they can hold those fruits. Apple trees can hold all those apples and everything because they sit in like crazy wind their whole life. They grow, they get big, they get strong. That's what wind flow is for. Also for like powdery mildew and keeping everything away. But airflow, the main thing at airflow at this stage of life, early veg and stuff, is to build a strong plant. That's really important. Yeah, and if you blast your plant with airflow, yeah, you're gonna stress it. It's just not. You don't want to like just have the fan on full blast, blasting it. That's key as well, right? VPD, yeah, still matters, but it's not. I never follow the VPD charts myself, guys. I never even heard the word VPD until like honestly probably 2 years ago. I'm like, what the fuck is that? A new thing to confuse us all because like I never had to use that and I grew beautiful plants and everyone I knew never used no VPD shit. They just knew what temperatures and humidity to be running at. They just knew like they just knew I want to stay at like 55% humidity and I want to keep my room at 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They just knew that they were in those numbers. They're going to be good. They didn't have to have no charts. They didn't follow this shit. They didn't get confused on all these numbers. Don't confuse yourself. I'm telling you, man, you don't need to confuse yourself in all those charts. Like if you want to dive in, because you want to keep learning, go ahead. That's great, but you don't really need to. Just learn the temperatures, learn the humidity for stages of growth, and you're laughing. That's all you got to do. It's easy as that. It is. I feel like VPD charts, PPFD shit, all that stuff just confuses people. It really does, in my mind, because I'm basic. Like I was taught, I was taught, oh, is the plants don't the light's too intense to the plants? I think so. Well, put your hand under the light and see if your back of your hand starts to kind of tingle. If the back of your hand starts to feel kind of tingly, that means that the light's too intense. But if your back of your hand feels fine, then like the plants are gonna be fine. Like I learned that way, and like honestly, that worked for me. But now lights are different. Like these LED lights, they don't make your hand tingle at all. But I do have this one set in the seedling stage, or in this one, yeah, this one actually, if I put my hand right underneath that light right there, I can feel it really warm. That wouldn't be good right on top of my seedling, for sure. Right here, though, I don't really feel nothing. I feel a little bit of warmth, but right here, I can feel some warmth, man. And I wouldn't want my seedling that close to that light. So that's how I was taught, and like it's done good for me. I don't need to do. I don't need all those charts and gadgets and meters, and I don't need all that stuff, man. I don't need to confuse myself that my BPD is like not on the ball on this mark per se. I just read my plants. If it's 10% humidity in here, I gotta bring my humidity up. I know that. Like you just gotta read your plants. That's it. Just learn your plants. Don't learn BPD charts. Learn your plant. That's it. Some people might be like, Troy's a loser for saying that, but I'm not. I'm straight up honest with you guys. Okay. Yeah, so here in the notes, seedlings thrive with comfort, not extremes. So the more comfortable your seedling is, it's going to thrive. The more extreme your light is, the more extreme your fan is, the more you extremely water it, the more stress it's going to be, and it's not going to thrive for you. So almost less is best. Nutrients, when to feed and when not to. Okay, here we go. So, like I said, the most seedlings, well, all seedlings, not most, all of seedlings don't need food right away because they're little leaves. Actually, those little leaves that come, I don't even know how to pronounce the name of them, so I'm not going to try to say it, but I know it starts with a C. I know it has an L and a Y and an O, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But those little leaves that are right there store energy, man. And that is the plant's food for the first couple weeks of its life, is in those little first few little leaves that pop out that you see, those little round, little fat ones. Those things store energy. Eventually they fall off when they're all used up. But that's your food for your seedling for the first few, well, at least a week and a half for sure. I don't give it any food. I don't put any I don't put them in medium with food unless I'm in living soil. Yeah, you might want to put your seedlings in living soil. There's going to be food in there, but living soil is like a kind of a different, like a different beast, man, because the seedling will pick what it wants to eat in living soil, right? So it's kind of different. If I'm using salt-based nutrients, so like it's just a little bit different in that regards. But yeah, you don't need to feed them. We've already talked about that too, so we're good there. Risk of overfeeding. You're gonna get burnt tips for sure. Stunted roots. Your plants are not gonna grow. If you overfeed your plant, it's just going to sit there stunted. And then you're going to be wondering, why isn't the plant not growing? Maybe it needs more food, more water. So you're going to be dumping in more food, more water, then it's just going to sit there stunted like that. And like I said, sometimes they don't droop over, they don't fall over. Sometimes they look just like what you just seen. And they'll look like that for weeks. It just won't grow. And you're like, why is it not growing? It looks green. It looks okay. And eventually you will pull on that little root to see what's happening. And like, there's nothing in the end of it. You're like, wow, it sat there for 2 weeks and it didn't even grow a single little tap root on it. That's because you overfed or overwatered, something like that. Okay, so when do I introduce light feeding? I normally do a light feeding, say a week and a half, close to 2 weeks, and then I might do one light feeding in a solo cup, just one. But definitely at transplant, I'm going to be putting food in 100% at that point. Okay. Okay, this is our last little segment. Common seedling mistakes recap. Okay, so we're just doing a recap now. So if everybody, yeah, you know what? We got to do this now for the giveaway. So Ali, if you want to share that picture, that'd be awesome. And then in the comments, guys, all you got to do is comment uh, exclamation green, exclamation mark green. That's it. You got to put that in the comments for your chance to win a camera. See, I want one of these cameras. I don't even have one of these cameras. Can I win it? Can I put it in? Type in exclamation green for me, please. Like, I want to win this too. So yeah, just type that in the chats, guys. Exclamation green, and that's your chance to win a grow tent or a grow tent camera, which are actually pretty cool, man. Because you can do time lapse. I've always wanted to do a screen to green time lapse. I just think that'd be so awesome looking. Okay, so rapid fire review here. Overwatering, too much light, feeding too early, large containers too soon, overhandling a seedling. So we didn't talk about overhandling seedlings, and I don't really know how you would overhandle it per se. Maybe by taking it out of the cup and like touching the roots too much. Good job typing it in, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being in here tonight. Thank you, Vivosun, for hosting the show for us and having us all on here. And yeah, once again, thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. And Screen to Green School is just around the corner. It's on my channel. I think it's season number 7 now. Season number 7 or season number 8. I'm not too sure exactly, but we're gonna have a Scrog in this tent in the 4x4 Vivosun again, and we're gonna have it's gonna be the same setup. exact same setup. I'm also going to try to get the drip irrigation system from Vivosun. I talked to Elliot about that earlier today. I want to get the drip irrigation. I can make a video on that, on setting it up in this room, because like if I want to go away for a weekend, I wouldn't. It would be nice to have like an automated watering system in here, right? My daughter's getting older. I want to go out with her on weekends and do fun things. So like I need something in here to water my plants for me. So if I had a self-watering irrigation system in here, I'd be set. And Vivosun has one. So I just gotta figure out what I need, and I gotta get that ball rolling, because I definitely want to be self-watering in here for sure. If you guys have any questions right now for me, just type it in the comments right now, and I'll try to scan through them, and I'll try to get them. I'll try to hit them up. Oh yeah, you got to subscribe to the Vivosun YouTube channel, or just to be in on the giveaway. That's for sure. You got to be following the channel. Okay, so we will be doing again, I'm using the Athena nutrients. I'll be using, I don't know which one. I could either use the Pro line or the blended line. The blended line seems to be doing really, really well for me. So I might just do the blended line again. But yeah, we're definitely doing the Athena nutrients. I have a whole bunch of them I got to use up here. A whole bunch of them. So I'll be using the Athena. I'll be using the Athena IPW to like spray my plants, keep them clean. That stuff works really well. I'm hoping to get the Vivosun irrigation, or the watering system, like I just said. I want that real bad. So that's going to be on the list for sure. I need to buy some cocoa because I'm going to be transplanting soon. So I do need to get some things rolling here. Set up the under canopy lights. I'm not going to be using them until hours. I still have them all set up. Yeah, what else do I got to do in here? I'm pretty much ready to go, to be honest with you guys. I just need to get the basics, like some cocoa. That's pretty much all I need. I think I have the pots. I'm probably going to be doing 3-gallon pots again, like I have been for the past few years. 3-gallon pots is easy. Have you ever done any hydroponics or deep water culture? I haven't. The closest thing I've ever done to like hydroponics, it's not even hydroponics, is say like the auto pots. Just because it's like a water system, they sit in water and they grow. Like I know it's not even comparable, but that's the only thing I've ever done with water. To do it with water, I would need to buy the chillers. It would be a pretty big job for me to take up and try to get this room set up for that. But I always wanted to do it. Do you add anything to your cocoa medium, like castings? I don't add anything to my cocoa medium. I haven't done it yet, actually. The last few runs I've just been using, like I said, the Athena blended line, and that's it. But to be honest, I wouldn't mind adding a few things. I wouldn't mind adding a few amendments to the pots just to see what happens, right? But at the same time, it's hard to fix something that isn't broken. And with my nutrients that I've been using, like the Athena blended line has been killing it for me. I'm not gonna lie, it's been working great. Still interested in some under canopy lighting. Do you notice a big difference using them? I do notice a difference. And to be honest, guys, with everybody here, I feel like I was like one of the first people to ever put an under canopy light on our cannabis plants. I did it like 5 years ago. I did it on my first Scrogger I ever did. It showed public. It was up in this room right here above me. And I had like an old quantum board light, and I stuffed it underneath my screen. And I just put it on the lowest setting. I was just curious, because like I always look underneath my Scrogs, and I always seen like little buds under there. And I'm like, man, I wish I could like hit that with light. You know, I always thought that. So this one time I had this light, and it was called an HLG V2 or something. It was super old. It was an HLG 600 V2, I think it was called. It was like the quantum board. So I stuffed it under there because I got this new light from a company that sponsored me at the time. I'm like, oh my God, this LED light, look at this thing. Wow, this is crazy. Like it's a bar style light. So I switched it out. And to be honest, that first time I put that light under there, I noticed difference. I noticed buds tightening up under there. All the white hairs turned amber. Like it actually started working. Like, oh my God, like these buds are finishing off. This is kind of crazy. And then, no word of a lie, man, like 2 years later, everyone's coming out with under canopy lighting. So I think it does work, because I've used it since. I've used a few companies. I've used the Vivosun under canopy light. It definitely works to tighten up your nugs. I think it's cool, man. And to be honest, I wish like 5 years ago I like came out with my own brand of under canopy lights that when that time that I did it, because no one else was even thinking about it at that time. And people laughed at me. People laughed at me so hard when I did that. They're like, "You're such an, you know that lights don't photo. Do you know that leaves don't photosynthesis from the bottom? Do you know that you can't?" Like, I just got chirped so bad, man. But I'm like, well, do you know what, man? Like, my buds are tightening up down here. It's like I'm seeing a difference. What? Oh, 3 seconds. Oh, the show's ending. Yeah, he's gonna announce. I know, that's awesome. Good luck, everybody. Pardon? Craig Hazen, 162. Craig Hazen. Craig Hazen. It almost sounds like a German thing, but I don't think so. Hey, Craig Hazen. Craig Hazen, 162. You won the giveaway. Congratulations. Thank you so much, buddy. You see the you gotta do on screen right here, right? If you win, you gotta contact Vivosun on IG, Discord, or email. People who pretend to be winners will be blocked. So what you need to do is, the best way to do this is take a screenshot of your YouTube profile. That's the best way to prove that it's you. Because if you take a screenshot of your YouTube profile page, no one else can do that, because no one else can see your profile page like that, like the way that you can. So you can send that into the email or the whatever, however you send it, just send that screenshot to prove that it's you. Because there's so many people that try to scam it and try to get it for themselves. It's really sad, actually. Okay. Final seedling focus questions. If you guys have any questions for me, keep asking them right now, because I'm going to come and read one quick before I get out of here. Also, like the Vivosun Discord group, you guys can post pictures in there of your plant stuff. There's a lot of people in there to help you out. We also have Jake now. Jake's like a grow coach, so Jake can actually answer questions for you guys too on the Vivosun Discord. He's doing a lot with the Feed Care Cup, so like Jake is going to be there to answer lots of questions for everybody if you're a Vivosun grower as well. Question: what's too low and too high light watts? That depends on what stage you're at, Mike. But like my light right here is the AW400 SE, so it's a 400 watt light. It's actually going to harvest. It's actually going to flower my plants that are being 400 watts, which is crazy. I never usually use a 400 like that. I feel like that's kind of low for like a flower phase. But for the veg and seedlings, it does great, and it actually kicked ass on my flower. I did a black sugar in this run last time with this, like the AW400 SE. I did a black sugar, and it flowered out beautiful, nice hard nugs. They're pretty big as well. So this thing proved me wrong. Like it really proved me wrong. I never thought a 400 watt light was going to do what it did. So this light is the 600. And that it just goes up and up, man. You can get like 1,000 watt lights, like, and that's if you're running CO, right? Or like I don't even like I just don't get into that, man. I don't need to get into that high of kind of stuff. I don't run that kind of stuff. 600 watts is pretty much great for me. Even 800 watts is good for me. But just definitely, if you're in the seedling stage, don't have it dialed all the way up. Make sure it's dialed all the way down. That's the key thing. You gotta use those watts as the plant cycles. So like you just want to increase the wattage as the plant grows, basically. You know that too, but it's good to let people know that as well. Do you recommend water stress before harvest? I don't recommend any stress like that, to be honest with you, before harvest. See, that's all just stuff that some people say like makes a big difference, those kind of things. But really, you're not going to see a huge difference. I just don't think it's going to be like a game changer to the point of like I'm gonna like stress my plants, do a water stress, or some people like do the dark thing for like 48 hours. Like I just don't think it does enough to like actually like just do all that. You know what I mean? I just think it's just honestly, it's just not. It doesn't. The risk of the reward is just, it doesn't outweigh itself. It's just, I don't know. How do you feel about water irrigation systems? I want one. I'm trying to get one right now from Vivosun. I've never really used one before. Like I've used the auto pots, but I want to get like a drip system. That's my mission right now. So I'll be talking to Elliot to get that in here coming as soon as possible. So I got to transplant and get it all set up. 5 mil per liter isn't enough for me. The cocoa eats up CalMag. Oh yeah, cocoa eats up CalMag like crazy. I use a lot of CalMag when I'm growing with cocoa these days, and even the charts, even the Athena chart, the blended line, like they want you to use a lot of CalMag, man. Like you're looking at these are per 10 liters. I'm looking at 13 milliliters per 10 liters of water on CalMag. And I actually put more than that in there. I'm putting in like 15, almost 18 milliliters per 10 liters of water of CalMag with the cocoa for sure. It loves it. Is there a tent kit for the Aero Light 400 watt? I think the oh shit, sorry, I'm like tut tut today, Junior. Um, the Grow Tent Pro, I think it's called the Grow Tent Pro. This is what I have, the Grow Tent Pro. I think it comes with the 400 watt light. I'm pretty sure it does. And you can even use the code Scrog to save yourself some money at Vivosun.com or the code Scroggers on Amazon. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the kit comes with this light, with this fan. It comes as a kit. The Pro Tent, I think it's called Tent Pro or something like that. Question: thoughts on flushing? I honestly don't really believe in flushing. I'm not much of a flusher. Uh, I just don't. I just really don't think it does anything either. Like I've tested flushing. I've done like I've tested like on plants. Like I've had one plant beside me here, one plant beside me here. I'm like, I'm gonna flush this plant, and I'm not gonna flush this plant. And then I'll smoke it like a couple of weeks later, a month later, and I can't tell the difference from either one of them. I'm like, I can't even tell the difference, man. So like I'm just not flushing anymore, and I haven't flushed since. I don't really think it does anything, to be honest with you. I'm not much of a flusher. Hand water, I love hand watering. I've always hand watered. It's been something that I've done, and I do love it. I love hand watering. What do you look for in a plant when scrogging? What do I look for in a plant when scrogging? To be honest, I can scrog anything. But what excites me is a plant that is actually has a little bit of stretch to it and a little bit of decent space between each node. So like per se, when I see like a heavy indica plant, the node spacing is normally like really short between each other. It's not long. It's like really close nodal spacing. Those plants tend to be a little bit more difficult to scrog, and they don't turn into big, huge scrogs. They're very nice scrogs. They have nice big colas on them and stuff, but they're a little bit harder to scrog like a pure indica plant because like they grow shorter and they're bushier. So bushier means internodal spacing is a lot closer to each other. Therefore, it kind of gets hard to tuck because those plants, the stems get really thick. Even the side branches all get thick. So keeping on tucking is a little bit more difficult on those heavy indicas. So when I see like a sativa hybrid or something like that, sometimes they excite me because like I'm expecting to be a little bit more of a stretch. It's easier to tuck. It's easier to foliate. It's easier to keep the canopy even on top and see through the screen instead of a big thick bush that really is it's hard to tuck because it's only going to stretch and it's going to take like 3 or 4 days to reach the adjacent hole before you can tuck again. On like a hybrid sativa plant, you're tucking like every other day. You're going to be tucking. You're going to be tucking. So I do like to see a little bit more stretchier plants. That excites me. It gets it going. Um, okay, he looks for stretch. Yeah, for sure. I don't do 48 hours of darkness. No, he's a tucker, not a flusher. I'm a tucker, not a fluffer. Oh, that sounded bad. All right, guys. I think that's a wrap for tonight's show. I always get like not nervous, but I'm like, I hope I can like say enough for a full hour. But then once I do it, I'm like, I can keep going. Like I can keep going right now, man. But we got a jet. If you master the first 2 weeks, the rest of the grow becomes easier. Yeah, so here's a little quote right here. If you master the first 2 weeks of these plants' journey, the rest of the grow will become easier. Because it is sometimes the first few weeks of a new grower for sure is the hardest part. Once these plants start drinking and you start like getting in a routine of feeding, and if you're using salt-based nutrients, just follow the guides, you follow the instructions. It's pretty simple once you get through this stage. Once the roots develop and stuff, this is the hardest part for a new grower, and it was for me when I was young. My mom watched me struggle with it. She actually tried to make me learn without even teaching me it to do it, just to see how I would do it. And I fucking sucked, man. I remember killing them so much. I remember I didn't put holes in the bottom of my cups. That was the first mistake I made. I'm like, it's always heavy. It's always heavy. She's like, well, you put holes in there for drainage? I'm like, no. Like, why would I put holes in it? Like, just little things like that, right? Just went a long way for just helping you. So everyone, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're signing out from the green room, and we'll talk to you guys later on. And remember, if you are doing the screen of green method, keep on tucking. Peace out.